Hello, very good afternoon. Welcome to the BBC News at 1. In the next hour, executives from the big six energy companies will answer questions from MPs. The Commons Energy and Climate Change Committee is investigating why prices have risen so much and whether the industry needs to become more transparent. British Gas, SSE, npower and Scottish Power have all increased tariffs this month by an average of more than 9%. Our political correspondent Ross Hawkins reports.
A chance to hold energy bosses' feet to the fire as the bills go up. Executives face MPs this afternoon and the fighting talk has started already.
I think they deserve to get a tough time because they don't really seem to understand how much they are now distrusted, particularly over price increases. They need to understand they've got to be more open about their costs.
So the big energy firms and some smaller ones and the regulator too are coming to Parliament to explain how the cost to consumers has gone up so sharply. They'll be explaining what makes up an energy bill. About half is wholesale costs, buying or producing power. About a quarter is the price of getting energy to homes, so-called network costs. Green and social levies make up 8%, and the rest comes from suppliers' costs, their profit and VAT. Energy firms say levies, investment and wholesale prices have made this business more expensive. Critics say getting a clear view of the big firms' real costs is far from easy, and they're doing very nicely out of the deal. And that's why when energy company staff, some chief executives, some a bit more junior than that, come here for questioning today, MPs will be competing to prove just how tough they can be. Because that's become rather fashionable of late. Ed Miliband's conference loved it when he said he'd freeze prices and change regulation. His team have been reminding us of the pledge ever since.
People don't know why they're paying, what they're paying. That needs to change. Trust in energy companies is at an all-time low. We need the market to be open and clear and fair. That's what we would do.
After Labour's pledge, a former Conservative Prime Minister suggested the energy firm should be hit with a winter levy.
Was John Major right on windfall tax, Prime Minister?
It was difficult for David Cameron to ignore, and now he's promised to roll back green regulations, although Liberal Democrats haven't agreed how that would happen. So expect plenty of politics this afternoon, but don't hold your breath for any guarantee from the firms or the MPs that they'll make your energy bills any cheaper anytime soon. Ross Hawkins, BBC News at Westminster.
With us now, our correspondent John Moylan, just picking up then on that last point that Ross made. In all reality, what can this achieve this afternoon?
Well, as Ross was alluding to, these occasions often end up with a lot of theatre, a lot of grandstanding, but not an awful lot of substance. And it's a one-off session. This isn't part of a wider inquiry, so there won't actually be a formal report as such. But does today matter? I would say absolutely yes, it does. I mean, you know, there is huge public disquiet at the moment about the level of bills, this recent round of price rises, the fact that four companies have all moved together. There's a genuine debate about whether the costs that the companies have been alluding to, that they say are driving up bills, whether they are actually going up as fast as the companies suggest. Politicians are openly accusing the firms of ripping off customers, so there's a real distrust in the industry. And this committee had a report out in the summer which talked about a lack of transparency around the whole issue of profits and profit margins. So I think this is a timely debate, a timely session, and at the very least, having been in the spotlight now for several weeks, it will give the companies an opportunity to try and explain themselves.
And an opportunity to perhaps bring down bills? I mean, what flexibility do they have?
Well, they could choose to bring down bills tomorrow and just absorb it into their costs. We all think that clearly is very unlikely. What's a lot more likely is that we know the government is looking at the part of the bill that they've got some influence over, the government policies, the social policies, the green policies, which are an increasingly large part of our bill, but only about 9% at the moment. We know they're reviewing every single one of these areas. There's one in particular called Eco, which accounts for about half of that 9%, about insulating people's homes. We know they're taking a close look at that to see if it can be changed. And there's a discussion about moving some of these costs out of our energy bills and into direct taxation as well. Now, none of this will transform our bills. It won't change people's situation, but it could bring them down a little bit. And if it is going to happen, we'll find out early December in the autumn statement.
Right. Thank you very much, John. And there will be full coverage of that committee hearing on the BBC News channel when it gets underway at 2:30. Now, the case